record.
Okay.
And let's dive in. So I have these questions. I'm going to free flow. But before I even begin, Jennifer Simone, if you could just take a moment, just to introduce yourself and share like what you do and anything you feel about who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Well, hello, I'm Jennifer Simone, and I'm so happy to be sitting here. You might notice that I will move a lot and my head will tilt because I'm in Aries rising. And movement is just happening all the time.
And the whole background is
the whole background. It's all movement based. I am here to serve people who have struggled with chronic injuries, sports injuries, reoccurring pains, and tightness, things that hold them back from living, feeling physical freedom. Like my best clients are always like, I just need that like confidence. And so that's what we do here. We do a neuromuscular therapy and very precise neuromuscular exercise to make that happen.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you started this practice and you opened the space and everything was like your creation from the ground up, right?
Yes. Yeah. Business started in 2009. Mm-hmm. And of course we looked at that chart at one point.
Yeah.
And this space I've been in here since October 2019. I started a podcast in 2018 called the Think Fit Be Fit Podcast Network. And we grew to being a network in when we were working together. Well, yeah, definitely. In 2020.
Right. Yeah. So that brings me to my first question, which I am sorry I didn't do the research on this, but do you have any idea when we started working together?
Yes, I just thought about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember because like I was doing some group work.
Yeah.
And I just loved how much like you're just like amazing at like holding space and joy and like letting people experience themselves, and it's so beautiful. So that was like late 2019, I think, or early 2020.
Right.
Yeah, because like every piece of me for like all of 2019 was calling to work spiritually. I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah. And North Node return, I guess that's what that was also a part of.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay. That's really cool. I'm glad you brought that up because I was hoping to kind of put it into the context of like your journey and like what it was for you. So that's really cool. We'll come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is so at that point in time, if you give a little information about like where were you at? And I know you were feeling called spiritually to work, but was there something specific being stirred up or where were you at that point as far as your business?
Oh, yeah, I was
too, by the way. I mean, life conversation because they're not separate. So
yeah, I mean, like I think the headline here is like one of the things I really gained from working with you early on, and it was like so empowering, like right from the get-go, is like intuitive living and learning. And, learning how to do that in the business, in the personal life was like, that's where I was. I was just picking up on like the true essence of that. And before I was like pretty, a lot of anxiety, lot of even like physical, like heart palpitations, because for so many reasons. And, fast forward to now, and through our work together, like working with boundaries and the cosmic signature and like became very easy. And integrating that, for like months really, and still doing it. And so my business like was just getting ready to grow, or had grown into this space.
Yeah.
And I was also like making a move to be like have a business partner.
Right.
And all that stuff was like, it's really big.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, essentially like, did I have space to make that happen? And you were like, that was key there too. And that took it took a while too.
Like energetically and like inner structurally, like to be able to like really come into that was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, pain point real quick about like the astro industry in general, like manifesting overnight, like I don't think it fucking happens. I mean, in one way it does, right? Like,
Right.
because it comes in unexpected ways. And things do happen very quickly, but like the bigger timeline of, you know, sustainability and business, I mean, you know, like
Yes.
being sustainable in business is just not this, it's not on TV.
Right.
You know,
Jen,
it,
thank you.
yeah, like,
Yes.
and I just don't think like the coaching industry really talks about that. Like, yeah, sustainability is sexy for me. Right. And
Too.
yeah, maybe that's
what's up with, is that like our, what is
yeah,
that? Is it like the Taurus, like leave, like the Venus, like what, I don't know, but we just love that. Like, oh, so thank you for bringing that, because that's like the direction I really wanted to go in, was like, how do you feel working together, and like, not just working together, but like, here's the truth of it, was like, I think I was following something bigger than myself in terms of what I knew that I was meant to put out there, and to kind of like just present and like go with and trust, which was like that sustainability piece, and that whole like, you know, that where I was like, why is not like, how is this gonna work? Like, right, like I was looking at it and thinking to myself like, oh my gosh, like if this conversation isn't happening more, if these things aren't being looked at more, like what's going to happen to all of these businesses, you know? And I think that's just like part of my makeup, I guess, because I love watching like even documentaries about stuff like that. Like I'm just like drawn to that gap, you know? And so I like trusted that, but I was really scared at the same time, a part of me, because I was doing something that wasn't really being done, I guess, you know, in the mainstream of it, like you said. And so I'm having this like the moment of like immense like gratitude, where like speaking to you, speaking to Tanae, speaking to a couple of other clients who I worked with like pretty long term on those sustainability, who got it, and who we got each other. We were like, yes, like sustainability. Yeah. Like it was like we saw each other, locked eyes in this room of crowded people, and like we're like, yeah, like we're gonna go that route. It's not going to be the instant, maybe, you know, quick results, which didn't mean you didn't get results, you know, but it was about sustainability. And I was always so grateful to have you and to have your soul like kinship, you know, because I was like, she gets it, you know, and it like really like meant so much to me. But now to be able to kind of see the fruit bearing years of that deep root work that we did, and like the foundational work, is just like really cool. And that's actually why I like reached out, because I felt it's not to be like, hi, I told you, not like that, but to say like, yes, like this is the way. And it's not just for our businesses, but it's for everything. Like sustainability is everything.
Yeah. I mean, like I want to, you know, really want to do this. And I hope a lot of people like hear this and listen to it, because one of the things that like you taught me to embrace was all the houses, like all the signs and their beauty. So like, this is very mutable to me, you know, and that means a lot. Like other people having great businesses that are sustainable means a lot to me, right? In that way. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's what it's about. And like I feel like we always talked about like values and like things that truly like I think forged deep meaningful like channels and like foundational pieces that like really last, you know? So I'm so excited to like talk about how, where has that led you
Yeah.
now? Where are you now? And like, how are
Okay.
those pieces like really
I've got
serve?
some like good, uh, what do you like proof really that,
Yeah.
um, integrating and working in my business has results, you know. So one thing is in 2021, I want to get this number right. I might have to check my drive file,
Okay.
but like our profitability increased the business uh by close to like 200%
Oh,
because you helped me build my team,
right. I
which
didn't
is
even know
already
that.
changing.
I
Okay.
didn't know it, but like I did, you know, like meaning I just trusted you and
Yeah.
your genius, you know, at the end of the day. Like that's what it really was. But that is so cool to hear it, you know, in that
Yeah.
in that very air way. And
um
earthy way.
yeah, I mean it was just like so God, yeah, you helped me build my team, which and I'm having to do again because the first team member, it's already kind of changing. Be and she stayed with me for, you know, like 8 months or something.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm using the same building blocks that
Right.
we worked through, you know, to write or refine and update the training protocols
Amazing.
and the HR things and really build a team and trust and learn to, yeah, like have a team and be a leader in this way. Like I'm a leader in other ways,
Mhm.
as I mentioned, like the Aries rising
Yes.
and all the cardinal signs. And oh, sorry. Okay, so here is I'm back to that number, the 200%.
Yeah.
Um, so this is a pitch that I wrote about the business now to potentially grow.
Mhm.
And I've already had two people kind of say, like, I would be interested and invested in your business to help it grow.
That's
And
amazing.
so this was like a month ago, but I
Oh,
haven't. Yeah.
yeah.
So Impact Your Fitness is a transformational health and performance services provider and media company. Our clients thrive with full body optimization care that crosses over into improved health, immunity, and resilience. Because of our high quality focused evaluations, treatments, and education, we stand apart as in being extremely effective in the $1.5 trillion global wellness market. In 2022, we increased our profitability by over 400% by adding a single service. So,
Wow.
like, honestly, I couldn't have done that without all the clearing, all the grounding, all the like gratitude that you really led me through.
That is amazing. First of all, congratulations. I'm like, wow. But also that brings me to this concept of like, I love that you said the clearing and the grounding piece because you know it is strategy. Yes. Like we did do the deep structure, we did do the all that, but would you share a little bit about like that if you know the shamanic astrology piece, the energy piece, which I think is just so important and
Yeah.
so like you know all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. We, you know, one of the biggest lessons of our time together was receiving and honoring Venus and like living with or moving and deciding and being and receiving energy. So, you know, back to like what the shamanic piece is, like money is energy, currency is energy. And just saying it a few times and writing it down and like saying itself into your in the mirror like isn't enough. Like you have to literally like make room. And so yeah, so priestess, shamanic work, it was all there to, you know, you provide. It was a lot of support.
Amazing. I love that. Yes. And it reminds me, yeah, like, and everybody's different, right? Like, of course, your chart, that was what was needed and called for in your specific and, you know, your specific not like who you are and just what was coming up for you. So as far, so this is a fun question. What rules did we break?
Oh my gosh.
What rules did we not break? No.
Yeah.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, for
anything
me,
general.
like it's also like scheduling time for myself, breaking the rule of hustle,
Yeah.
breaking my parents' rules of hustle, right? Like that I feel like is a big one. And again, that was definitely for me, and I'm sure other people resonate.
Yeah.
And the rules, like, I guess, I think a good one to think about, like that I could think about and align to would be, we were able to like get results, but we weren't like sitting there with like a calculator.
Right.
And,
Right.
it was like we calling in, um, yeah, like sometimes like, of course I do like the specific budgeting and calling in like specific numbers, but we worked energetically to get those numbers. So I think like that's a rule breaker.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I do. I think as far as like, these sort of accepted norms or rules and kind of just standards that like have become the norm, I think we definitely just took those and threw them out the window.
Yeah.
Just did
Yeah.
our own thing. We really stuck to our true values, I think, and
Yeah.
did it at the same time.
Yeah.
But the emphasis and the focus was on like more of the be like what it was really
Being.
about. Yeah, like
Yeah.
being. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd
That's
say
so
that,
cool.
yeah, that makes sense. That's right on.
Yeah. So we kind of touched on it, but like how do you feel that working with your cosmic signature and like working with these codes and things like that, how has it served you and how does it continue to, like, in your day to day, but also in like the bigger picture?
Yeah, well, that's a great one. I did think about this one specifically because so many of my colleagues look up to me, and that's within like the podcast and my community of muscle activation techniques, which is my certification.
Mhm.
And I get people reach out within that community all the time, and they recognize like my alertness
Mm.
and focus and contentness with my business. So people ask me about that.
So it's like, so I'm kvelling. You know what
Yes,
I
that's
mean?
right. Yeah.
Like in a way of like, wouldn't we wish that for isn't that like, how we would say like the new age business owner, like, isn't that beautiful to be that, and for that,
Yeah.
for your business to be that for you?
Yeah.
Really
It's
beautiful.
such an honor. Yeah. And so people would ask me, what kind of business coaching did you do? Because it was obvious that I was being like,
That you were
supported.
transforming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really cool.
From the inside, right? Like it was obvious, I wasn't like posting like
They're
me
like,
and
oh,
Tony Robbins at a conference, like,
right.
like that wasn't happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
They're like,
people were,
how is she how does she do that? Right.
yeah.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, they'd be like your stuff's on point. Like, what's up?
Right.
Tell me about it. And I would tell them, I'm like, well, it is a little, it's definitely out of the box what I'm doing, but I'm working with my business shaman and priestess, and she, teaches me about the energy of the business, the energy of my leadership, and my medicine, and um we work with that, and it's within astrology. And yeah, and then they're like, oh, that's interesting. I'm like, oh yeah. And then my example is like my podcast inspiration. I was like, let me tell you the podcast inspiration: the Gemini, the Libra, the Aquarius. And we have 3 shows that represent all 3 of those. And so, which is
It's
perfect with
just
my
so
Libra
cool.
moon. it makes me so like, it brings me so much joy to do that. And knowing that cosmic signature just for that piece of the business keeps me so like inspired.
Yeah. And like rooted in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that 400% thing, that profit margin that I mentioned is this business here. The podcast isn't that yet, but I like have the faith, that it is going to be, and guess what? My podcast has been going since 2018. So back to that sustainability piece, like, especially now trying to get in the podcast game is hard. Or to stand out like in a big, like profitable, selling advertising kind of way.
Yes.
And, but I have faith that, the energy of the podcast and the, like, that it's so mine that I don't have to compete. We're just doing we're really doing my best. And I support other people in doing their best work. Jupiter and Scorpio, got to do it. And, and I just have faith in that. And I just get to do that. And it's amazing.
Right. And like karmically speaking, like how could you go wrong? Like that's what it is. Yeah. So that's amazing. And I love seeing your podcast episodes coming out, because I follow and I really don't know what, like much about it, but I hear it. I feel the clarity of it, every now and then I'll just listen and I'm like, dang, like she is like, I feel the truth behind it, and the passion and also just that like authority of it, so, and you've always been quite Aquarian, in terms of trusting that kind of like eccentric, maybe like a little off the beaten path, but it will always serve. It maybe takes a little time for everybody to catch up and get what you're, but that's the nature of the game, of being at the forefront of things.
Yeah. And how many times did we work with that, and like really, look, just seeing it for the gift that it is and what it takes to like nurture and
honestly, like you couldn't do it any other way,
So yeah.
So one more question, because I want to honor your time, but just if there was one like favorite thing about working together, something really special that you take with you and that you're going to always have in your, I always say like your toolkit, right? Like what would that thing be? And maybe like sharing it, with others who may be wanting to follow, or not follow, but to create their own version of a really sustainable, like heart-led new age business, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way of honoring oneself in astrology is just so beautiful. So like that's like a huge takeaway, that is a life-changing element, like that your lens changes, and being heart-led, having dissonance is with your business and your gifts. I don't think is the opposite is sustainable. Maybe you got to do it for a little bit, but I feel so privileged being able to say that. And I feel privileged to have learned that from you, like learned the honor, the 12 houses and the whole chart, the whole wheel, I guess.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's like activated, boom. Like it's like you're just activated. Like it'll like it's like you can't unsee it, it's a way of being, like we would say.
Yeah. And I mean, and I love my business, right? Like I like being heart-led is it's so cool. Like I mean, new age and heart led. I do like, just, I don't know. I respect it. And I, would tip my hat to anybody that could really stand in that same like ownership of like, yes, this is heart led. And this is,
my truth.
I love my business. Yeah.
Yeah. Like really be able to say that, and that generates more, and
Yeah.
it's amazing, Jennifer.
Yeah. Which is not to say like I don't want to, like I want to work less, but like, and but how great it would be to like pass it on, oh my God. Like I often think about my mom, like, and like I know if she were around today, she would be like an entrepreneur or some like kind of leader of some sort. Like I just know that.
Yeah.
And like I feel like how awesome would it be, instead of like having resentment for the business misogyny and like business structure, which is, so many of that generation of women did, they, that was in the stars, like that,
like what that was like where we were at that, but that was that's
and like what it means right now to have all the tools, the connection over Zoom, like, a podcast, like, and just being able to connect in this new age way and like really have, what is it, like the community that you call in, like that is unbelievable. Like that,
I think about that all the time.
Like
an honor. Yeah. Like how blessed we really, really are, and like, we're still kind of catching up with that, it's like, I think we must have spoken about this at some point, but like the different levels of like integration where like, for it to be like fully embodied, I think we're still getting there. It's like we're on we're on a level of like, we know that this is what it is. We keep kind of pinching ourselves, I think, a little bit to be like, wait, do I really get to just like be this happy and like make this much money and just like do what I love and prioritize myself and like help people and like, and it's kind of like, wait, is it real? So I always think like, am I pinching myself right now? Am I just making myself hurt to see if this is real? But
yeah, goddess, yes.
Yes, yeah. I think we're on we're evolving into the consciousness of like full embodiment of it, where like maybe our, the next generation will be like totally at home in it, just as our mothers maybe were at home in a a different reality or consciousness around money and work and service and all that. So it's just fascinating. But I love you and we got into our vortex and it could go on and on, but it's just a taste of what it is. And I always loved working with you, as you know, and you always activated me too, because a lot of it was channeled through based on what you would draw out, from within me. So
well, that's like,
that's just
you can only receive because like, you're just like, you're honoring your own channel.
Right. So it's so even that, it's just
not garbage, like, like we gotta keep up the garden, man. And such an honor. Always is.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm couldn't be happier for you and where you're at. And I know that you're always, growing. And that's what I wanted to say too, is like, if you did want to hand off your business, like that's totally okay. Like meaning, I love that we spoke about that and there was no shame or judgment around that, because it was like, why not? One of my greatest role models, Rosemary Gladstar, that was her thing. She would start businesses and hand them off and they would go and that was her makeup. If you were to look at her chart, it makes perfect sense, and it's like, that's that astrology piece, is like, you don't have to do anything in any way that is not like really your truth, and really what is going to like be able to like live inside of you peacefully without you trying to break each other down. So I love you. Thank
All
you
right.
for taking the time. And
Yeah.
I will share your information so that, if anybody would like to learn more about what you do, and your services, but also like you as a business owner, just to follow along, they can do that. And once again, thank you
Thank
for
you. And
sharing.
yes, thank you. Love you so much.
I love